Hey everyone, welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul. I'm a certified running coach, and this is episode 1 of a weekly coaching and training series I'm aspirationally naming PRs Galore with Coach Paul. Jack, Michael, Joel, and I did a live stream last week, and we talked about everyone's running histories and race goals for this coming fall. And I've designed a training plan for each one of these guys. And as the weeks go by, we'll review our workouts and ultimately bring you race results as well. I'm hoping this will help you become a faster, stronger, and healthier runner yourself. So please like this video, leave your comments and questions below if you have any, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ding that bell so that you get notifications every time I post. Before we get into it with these guys, I'd also like to refer everybody watching to a video that I posted earlier this week about proper running form and cadence. It's short and it's easy to understand, and it will help you to learn the fundamentals. So these guys all on screen with me have already watched that video so that they can start off on the right foot. So with all that said, guys, I want to thank you all again for being here. And what I'd really like to do is have you each introduce yourselves, tell us very briefly about your running histories and what your goals are for this coming fall. Let's get right into it. Michael, I'm hoping that you can tell us all that, and let's talk about your upcoming week of training, and I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Michael. I guess you may or may not know me, but going forward, I'm planning on running a half marathon this fall. I've been running for about 4 years now. So the plan is to go for a 1:35 half marathon with the plan that Paul's designed. Hopefully we could get there.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. I think you've got what it takes, no doubt about it. So Michael, the difference here in week 1 is that you and Jack have not yet. Well, you've got 1 day. Today was your first day of the entire training plan, so you don't have like a week to look back on yet. But I'm wondering if you have any questions about what you guys have coming up, or any related questions that you'd like answered at this point.
Yeah, so I think, looking at the plan, the only, I guess, question I had was, a lot of our runs, are going to be in the heat currently. So we're looking at, I believe you've laid out like our paces as far as, easy runs, tempo runs, and, long runs, et cetera. So let's talk a little bit about how you want to go about those whenever, we're looking at 80-degree temps or 100% humidity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a really important point for everybody watching this. In the heat, there's no way you're going to hit your intended paces, your race paces, and all that stuff. The humidity just makes that like impossible unless you're really willing to push yourself to the danger zone, which I don't recommend for anybody. So Michael, just kind of like looking back at the various paces that you and Jack are going to have to hit. Your half marathon pace is actually 7:15 per mile, and your tempo pace is 7:05 per mile. Now, keep in mind that those paces are for ideal conditions. We're talking about, like 65 degrees and under with low dew point, low humidity. So generally speaking, there is a curve for performance deficits that you can expect to encounter once the daily temperature goes above 75 degrees and once the dew point starts getting up there as well. So that generally ranges like anywhere from 75 degrees on upwards to like 95, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And with those increasing humidity levels as well, you guys, you and all three of you actually for that matter, should be trying to down adjust your pace times anywhere from 5 to 10%. So, the easy way to do that for you guys is just figure out what those paces are in seconds per mile and add 10%, because I don't want you guys feeling discouraged, especially this early on, because you're not hitting your paces, especially on some of the tougher runs. Once you guys, I think all three of you are probably going to start hitting some of the tougher runs for the first time in your long runs, where the very first couple of times I start asking you guys to hit half marathon pace or full marathon pace. As the summer continues and tempo runs and fartleks start to become part of your weekly workouts, don't expect to hit the times that I have on paper for you. Down adjust those and feel comfortable with that. Once the humidity and the heat comes down for you guys, I absolutely promise that your times will just kind of magically go down along with the temperatures. So keep that in mind and don't push too hard out there. Before we started rolling camera, Joel did remind us that it is dangerous out there if you push too hard. Especially all of us, we're in our mid 30s and far above that. So you don't want to push your luck out there. It's just not worth it. So I hope I wasn't too long-winded there, Michael, but there's a lot to keep in mind there.
Right. Yeah, good stuff.
Cool. All right. So as far as your schedule goes, are you happy with what week one looks like? I think you have a total of, hang on, a total first week mileage of 28 miles. So I don't know if you see that as a big challenge or what?
Yeah. So I just came off a base building program that I peaked at 35 miles. So but I have taken several down weeks after that. So this will be, I took 2 down weeks. This is, and then last week I was able to get back to 25. So I think, 28 will be perfect.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, Jack and I had a nice, medium long run on Saturday. We were able to get out together and, enjoy the cooler temps for July. So we're looking at, I think we got about 28 miles this week. So that should be pretty good.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that. I didn't want to push you guys too hard in the beginning, but I wanted you to kind of pick up where you left off with your training previous to this cycle. So,
Right.
So Jack, since you are running towards the same goal, I'm not going to give any details here. I'll leave that to you, but talk a little about, very, very briefly about your running history and what your goals are for this coming fall. And any questions that you have about the training plan, I'd love to hear them now.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I'm Jack. Thanks again for having me on tonight. Yeah, a little bit of history about me. I've been a runner ever since the early days of middle school and high school. I ran pretty competitively there, middle distance, 400, 800, 16 primarily. And now as an adult, after several years off, I started the routine again about 2018, which is, gosh, that's 3 years ago now. So I'm starting to get back into to at least the shape now to move towards kind of this next chapter. And, for this project, I'm looking to, along with Michael, run a half marathon in 1 hour, 35 minutes. And so kind of looking over the schedule coming up for this week and the next couple of weeks. One question I do have is, and I think it's just like some clarity on some of the terminologies, because we all kind of use different ways. For example, like tomorrow we're going out for a 6-mile run, and then I see 6 strides. So I have a good idea of what you're meaning by strides, but what kind of overall pace should the remainder of that 6 miles look like?
Yeah, great question. And it's something it's hard to fit into those little cubes on the training schedule. So I'm glad you asked that. Basically, everything that isn't, when you're not moving fast within the strides themselves, I want you guys running at easy pace. And that's probably going to hold true for just about all of your runs for the first couple of weeks of your training cycle, because I'm more in the early stages. I'm more concerned with getting you guys used to longer mileage than I am worried about your speed. All that's coming further down the line. But generally speaking, it's a good idea to treat all of your runs for the next couple of weeks as easy mileage. And strides can be done in one of 2 ways. The true definition of a stride is you accelerate over the distance of about 100 meters to about 95% of your maximum possible speed. And you're trying to hit that maximum speed somewhere around the 60, 65 yard mark. And then you're just going to slowly taper back down. And you can do that after your 6 miles of easy running. If that works better for you, especially in the early stages, that may be less stressful for you guys. But even though technically the terminology for what I'm about to tell you is a fartlek, I prefer to do my strides sort of mid-run. Like I'll go out, in a 6 mile run, I'll go out, do 2 easy miles just to kind of get the legs warmed up, get the, everything, flowing the way it should. And then like every quarter mile, I'll do another 100-meter acceleration and deceleration. Give myself a chance to catch my breath while I'm still moving, while I'm still running back at easy pace. And I'll get those 6 done and then just, have a 2 mile warm down. And that's the end of the run. So, I mean, whatever feels good for you and Michael, and in fact for Joel too, because he's at the early stages of his training plan, whatever feels best for you on any given day. If you're really wiped out and you just don't want to deal with the idea of having to continue running after that first stride, then take it the other way. But either or, Jack. Thank you.
Great.
Cool. So anything else? Any comments about what's coming up either this coming week or next week?
Yeah, schedule looks great. Looking over this week, looking at it right now, actually. I think the 28 mileage is a great start. Coming off, that's about a race that I had been probably over the last couple of months between that and the low 30s. So this is a good start with a very high focus on, the running each day. So we'll do that this week. Next week I'll get to take it actually on the road. I'm heading on vacation, so I'll be on the coast of South Carolina, and looking forward to getting these miles. It's always fun down in that area. And you're able to get out and run a little bit. So yeah, looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
Cool. Glad to hear it. And I hope you enjoy the nice flat land
Yes.
and the cool breezes coming off the ocean. That should be awesome. Yes. Cool. So Joel, I'm going to bounce it to you now. Unlike these two guys, you already have 1 week of training under your belt. So I can't tell. I can't read your face yet to know if I should run and hide yet or if things went well. So yeah, let's get right into it. Before you talk about this week's training though, let's just circle back real quick and give everybody a quick wrap up of your running history and what your plans and what your goals are for this coming fall.
Sure. Basically, we started Paul and I actually started running. Paul, you and I actually started running way back when we were pretty young guys. Yep. Grade 8, grade 9. You were very fast even then, which was amazing to see. You were the guy. I think there were 3 of us, and then sort of the rest of the squad and the cross country team. You were definitely one of the faster guys, and certainly one of the faster guys of our core group. So we were looking to you then. I remember you giving me some advice sprinting on the boardwalk on how to get my turnover.
You've got a better memory than me, sir.
I don't, but I remember this because it was good advice, and I tried it and it actually worked. But you were just saying, just concentrate on lifting your legs.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that was a way to get the turnover increased, and it worked. You still beat me in the race, but anyway. So about 10 years ago, I started running seriously, or what I consider seriously again. I did a little bit of running in my 20s, but 10 years ago, I had some goals to run full marathon, qualify for Boston, a few different things. And since then, I've run 10 marathons, and I was inching my way towards that Boston qualifier, and I kind of lost steam a little bit over the last couple of years. I run with a really great group in Oakville, where I live in Ontario, Canada, kind of a suburb of Toronto. And that Steve Connor, the guy who runs that group, he does really good work with plans for the group. But what sort of happened over time is I don't closely follow the plan. What I will do is run with the group on Sundays. I'll do the long runs with them on Sundays, and it's nice to catch up with folks and just run with friends and whatnot. But when I was following the plan more closely, I was working, moving towards that goal.
Yeah.
But anyway, your plan, it is different than what I would normally do with the group, or I used to do with the group, and what I did by myself.
I don't know yet if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's
pins and needles here.
I think changing things up, of course, it can really only help. And I want to stick to the plan. I'm going to adhere to what your instructions are and just do it. It makes it easier for me too. I was struggling a little bit looking at it. I'm like, well, this isn't how I normally do it. And I'm like, no, just let it go. Just do what it says. And, we'll let Paul do the planning and the,
let me do the planning. And this way, blame me when it goes wrong, if it goes wrong, which it won't.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like, I think it's really important just to kind of circle back to the beginning here. Don't push to hit those times, those non-heat adjusted times when you guys are out there training, because you'll wipe yourselves out. We'll all be sitting here. We'll be meeting in 2 or 3 weeks going, I'm done. I'm wiped out. I can't take anymore. Bring those paces down, guys.
Yeah.
Bring those paces up, whatever the case may be. Go slower.
Right. Yeah. So like he said, I've done 1 week worth. It's interesting. So, just through what I was kind of doing, there are runs that are much shorter than I would normally do. So, which was interesting for me. I'm like, oh, I've got to run 6.5K. That's weird.
Yeah. No,
just because, again, my habits, right? It's just my sort of habits. But ironically, this week was a real struggle.
Okay.
There were really bizarre humidity and heat issues. We talked about the heat, but the humidity was absolutely crazy, like over 90% humidity.
Yeah.
Crazy storms, trees coming down, like just the wildest stuff.
Okay.
And plus, the timing wasn't ideal, but I had my second COVID vaccine, and it really kind of knocked me down a little bit. And I think the key thing that I figured out was there was some serious dehydration sort of going into the week, which really hit me Wednesday.
Gotcha.
By the time I got to Sunday, Sunday was really interesting because I haven't struggled like that on a long run in a while.
Gotcha. Now, to bring everybody up to speed, Joel's first week called for a total of, what's the mileage? Hang on 1 second. 42 miles, which is 67.5 kilometers. And it was all a mix of easy runs with strides or just aerobic runs. The early stages of any training plan, you're not encouraging people to go out there and work their speed. That comes later. So the first and probably the biggest challenge of the week was your long run, which was 14 miles long. So you're saying by the time you got there, it was kind of rough after all the dehydration from the weather. So dehydration is a big thing, guys. If you're more than 4% dehydrated, that's kind of when running performance drops off of a cliff. So you got to really stay on top of that stuff. Slower paces. Make sure as soon as you get in from every run, guys, drink electrolyte drinks and get a little 200 calorie snack in your body so that you can recover faster. With that, I'm going to bounce it back to you, Joel.
Right. So, during the run, I actually stopped a few times.
Okay. No big deal.
And unfortunately the run was also laid out in, it was like 3 loops. And I'm like, I don't want to do that third loop. I do not want to do that third loop. So did it, got it done. I'm really feeling like today was a rest day, and I'm just like I've been, sleeping, taking naps here and there,
Glad to hear
drinking.
it. Glad to hear
Yeah,
it.
and I feel pretty good. I'm pretty excited to go out tomorrow and have a good run. I'm also up north now in Tobermory, Ontario. So
Okay, a little cooler maybe?
It'll be cooler in the mornings.
Glad to hear it.
And I was here a couple of weeks ago and I had some really good runs just because it was nice and cool. And
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing, this is not a point just for you, Joel. This is for all three of you guys. I want to make sure that you're taking when you see an easy day on your schedule, take it easy. And what I mean by that, even before the heat adjusted pace, I want you guys running no faster than 90 seconds slower than your goal race time. That's sort of the ceiling of the fastest I want you guys to go. And it's going to be a little torturous, but take a lesson from Joel here. As time goes by, it's going to be rough to keep up with these schedules if you're not taking those easy days easy. So with that said, Joel, do you have any questions or anything for me before we wrap this up for the night?
Well, so just to build on what you were saying about the paces and the target paces in the plan, will those be adjusted over the course of the sort of training block as we, will they get faster? Or are they targets now? Are they things that
Yeah, no, those are sort
towards?
of that's what you're working towards ultimately under perfect, nice, cool, low humidity, situation. Your race pace goal is not going to change.
Exactly.
What will change more than likely as you guys become stronger, or if you're just feeling wiped out on any given week, we will up adjust some of your tempo run paces or things like that, or even bring them down a little bit as necessary. I'm not trying to break you guys. I'm just trying to get you ready and kind of keep you right on that line of moving as fast as you can within a safety zone. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, some of those paces probably will adjust as time goes by.
Okay.
So with that said, guys, I just want to let's put it out there. Anybody have anything else that they want to either share with the audience or ask of me before we get out of here?
No, I think probably, with only about 5 minutes, looks like we have here remaining, maybe a good subject for next time, Paul. It's like, I'd love to get your perspective on weekly, like as we go through the week in terms of a nutrition factor, like what, should we be cognizant of, what we should be looking at, because I think that's where I know I personally can struggle where, because when you're running so much, I always feel hungry all the time. And so that's okay. But, what, in terms of just some straight out discipline on, going to grab something that's good for you versus sticking your hand in the sugar, the cereal box or something like that.
That's what I tend to do myself, is go straight for the sugar. So I mean, in general, I don't want to, we don't have the time to go into super detail, but I would say generally make sure you snack as soon as you get in the door. Force yourself to drink, not just water, but something that's heavy on electrolytes. Get a 200 to 300 calorie snack in your body immediately, because that's when your body's ability to uptake those nutrients is at its highest. So get that done and try to stick with, lean meats, lean proteins, and if you can stuff yourself with dark leafy greens, salads, you name it. That's where you want to go first. Try to get yourself full of that stuff before you reach for the candy. And that's a lesson I need to learn myself, but yeah, we can cover that in more detail next week. And I also want to talk a little bit more about core training next week. And maybe we can even revisit what you guys have learned about proper running form. And again, I encourage you guys to watch that new video that I just put out all about that. And yeah, we can talk all about that kind of stuff next week. Thank you guys for joining me again. And yeah, we'll pick up where we left off and review for Michael and Jack. We'll review your first week of training, and Joel, we'll see how you're doing after week 2.
Great.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Sounds good. Thanks, Paul.
All right. Have a good one.
Care.